Welcome to NCIX Tech Tips. We've never actually looked at a gaming notebook on NCIX Tech Tips before, but I have a pretty cool one here with me today. This is the MSI GX660R, and it has a few unique features that I can talk about, and it also has best-in-class performance. So this is a 15.6-inch 1080p LED backlit screen, I guess, but it's also a 15.6-inch 1080p LED backlit notebook because the screen is part of a notebook, and it also has a very high-end spec including a quad-core Core i7 processor and Radeon HD 5870 mobility graphics, which we are going to take a look at. One of the other cool things about this notebook is it supports not only one but two hard drive bays, so you can either stick with the default configuration, which is two hard drives in RAID 0, or you can even upgrade to an SSD and single hard drive for storage, or even two SSDs in RAID for the ultimate performance. So first of all, I'm going to take you guys on a bit of an overall tour of the GX660R. So we're going to start with the inside. Now you can see one of the things that MSI has done with the layout of this notebook is they have added a number pad. Since I do use this notebook for work, I love the number pad. I love having a dedicated number pad set as well as a comfortable keyboard. So that's one of the things that I personally really like about it. We've also got, you can see here, an off-center touchpad. So it looks kind of awkward, but it's better than having it in the center because it's positioned right under the space bar where it's natural to use it versus being sort of halfway under the number pad instead. One of the things that MSI has on their website, although I'm not sure that it really qualifies as a significant feature of the notebook, is that it has kind of a scaly texture here, and I do actually find that it is a little bit more comfortable when you're resting your wrists on it versus an entirely glossy finish because it doesn't get greasy quite as quickly. Now in terms of function keys, every notebook, the function keys are slightly different in terms of their layout. So you can see if you use function, you can switch between your PC monitor and your built-in LCD. You've got your touchpad on or off, some eco modes, you've got your P1 button, although I don't really know. Yeah, most of the function keys up here, we've actually got dual functionality because there are touch-sensitive buttons up here that can be used for that. And then you can also adjust your volume and brightness as well as your mute with the arrow keys over here. Home and end are also functions of the page up and page down keys, which are dedicated, and I am also happy to see those because I do use them while I'm browsing. Here we have, these are touch-sensitive keys, and I'm going to show you what they all do in a moment. And then there's also a power switch here. We've got a couple of speakers, and one of the things you're going to notice is all over the branding for this notebook is Dyne Audio. And I'm not sure, it says Sound by Dyne Audio. I've actually never heard of that brand before MSI brought it up to me, but I can tell you one thing for certain, and that's that this notebook does have better sound quality than what I have encountered in the past with any gaming models. So I haven't actually used like a Beats by Dr. Dre notebook, one of those HP ones, so I can't compare it against that, but I can tell you it's better than most. So here on this side, we've got some vents, we've got two USB 3.0 ports, an SD card reader, as well as a USB 2.0 port, as well as an expansion slot. Moving around to the back of the notebook, we find sort of the usual stuff. We've got another ventilation hole. We've got HDMI out, VGA out. I actually do like to see the VGA out even on a high-end notebook because you never know when you're going to have to use a projector somewhere, especially if you use it for work, which I do, and VGA can be pretty handy for that. eSATA is a little bit redundant if you've got USB 3, but hey, what the heck, if you have some eSATA devices, you might as well be able to use them. We've got LAN in the back, as well as our power in and a Kensington lock. Over on the other side, you can see there is a Blu-ray drive. We've also got dedicated 5.1 and microphone audio output, so that's a pretty cool thing to see. Once again, a high-end audio feature on a notebook, which I'm not accustomed to finding, which is really nice. One more USB 2.0 port, positioned perfectly for a mouse. And then here on the front, we have these, I have them set to breathing mode right now, but you can see these orange LEDs that are pulsating, and there's actually some matching ones on the rest of the notebook as well. So there's a set here, and then there's also a set on either side of the LCD panel. So you can actually set those to be all the way on, all the way off. You can set them to dynamically adjust themselves according to the music or sound of your notebook, or you can set them to breathing or pulsating, which is what I have them on right now. Here's where you release the battery, and here is the access panel for all of the insides. We're going to open that up a little bit later. But that is the overall physical appearance of the GX660R. One last thing is that when it's not in standby, which it went into because I closed it, this MSI logo also lights up in the dark. That is a white glow, so maybe you can see that now. So now I'm going to show you guys some of the unique features up here with these touch-sensitive buttons. So the first one actually is, there's a couple ways of controlling it. So you've got this button right here, which actually cycles through the different modes for the lights that are all along the edge of the screen, the front of the notebook, but there is also a little application that comes pre-installed. Speaking of pre-installed applications, the only thing that was pre-installed on this notebook that I actually had to uninstall was Norton. So everything else that's on here is relevant, such as WinDVD 8, as well as you've got a little demo for their Dynaudio, but it's pretty lightweight. There weren't any stupid browser toolbars or anything like that. So as I said, the only thing I've already removed is Norton, and pretty much everything else on here is stuff that I installed or is actually useful. So that was one of the things that I was pretty happy to see, is it's not super bloated. Anyway, here's the little application. So you can pick which locations are on. So there's the sides, the back, and then the front of the notebook. And then you can pick a mode. So you can either have it dynamically adjust itself with audio from the notebook. You can have it on breathing or pulsating mode, or you can just have it on by default. You click apply, and boom, now they are on. So that cycles through the different modes. Next we have the Eco button, which is a little touch sensitive button, switches between gaming mode, which I'm going to go ahead and assume is a performance mode, switches between movie mode, presentation mode, so turning your screen way down, optimizing power, office mode, which looks pretty similar, and then finally Eco mode, and then it's off, so that's just normal. You've got a Bluetooth on or off button, a Wi-Fi on or off button. You've got, oh, I can't remember what this one does for the life of me actually. Oh well. And then you have the two coolest ones that I am the biggest fan of. So this one, let's say you're using the notebook on your bed or something where you know it's not going to get good ventilation. I'm going to take off my mic and position it here. So you can hear the fan ramping up. What that mode does is it actually turns the fan up to absolute max. So if you know you're going to be gaming, you're going to be stressing it really hard, you can turn that on. There's also the turbo button. Now remember too, when you load the notebook, it'll automatically ramp itself up, but that's just if you want to totally override it and go nuts with the fan speeds. Turbo button is actually a neat one too, and I'm going to start with that one by showing you guys what the default clock speed of this processor is. So I'm actually going to turn off the ramped up fan because I can't hear myself think. So small FFTs, I'm going to run one thread in Prime 95. So this is going to show us the maximum frequency that this processor is capable of. So you can see we've got a Core i7-820QM, that is a quad-core hyper-threaded processor. Oh, and I've actually got it turboed right now. So let's go ahead and turn turbo off. There we go. So my bus speed is 133 megahertz, and the top clock speed I can get is 2525, so 2.52 gigahertz. Now if I turn turbo on, are you watching CPU-Z right now? Excellent. So if I turn turbo on, give it a second, because remember, speed step is still on. Or not remember, I'm telling you guys, speed step is still on. So what it's actually going to do is it's going to turn up the QPI frequency, which is going to increase the maximum frequency of the notebook to 2.65 gigahertz. Now, it's a pretty conservative overclock, but every last bit of performance you can get, especially in a notebook form factor, is probably going to be handy. So 2.65 gigahertz, there you can see it. And it does work while video editing, while rendering video, which is, again, I use this for work, so that is what I am a big fan of. Now, other unique features, actually that was it. Those were the ones I wanted to show you. All right, here we got Battlefield Bad Company 2 running on the GX660R. I am running at 1080p, although I did have to turn off details like anti-aliasing and anisotropic filtering, and I do have to run it on low, but that's still pretty darn good considering that we are running on a laptop right now. This is not a desktop PC. So while you have to understand the GPU on this laptop is a 5870, it's more like equivalent to a desktop version of a 5770. So that's what you should be comparing it to. However, I am getting 30 FPS, and it is in single player mode, a very usable gaming experience. So this is a bit of an extreme example because Battlefield Bad Company 2 is a very demanding game. However, I just wanted to show you guys that with a current generation gaming notebook, you can run even the most demanding titles, even if you can't run them at the very highest detail settings. Now, while 1080p might make for an impressive demo, I should probably show you guys a more realistic gaming setting. So this is 720p. And I am still running on low details, but you can see probably quite clearly on the screen that in spite of any explosions or any effects that are going on here, this is a more smooth overall gaming experience, and my frame rate is staying up around 40 FPS regardless of what's going on in the game itself. So yeah, this is probably more like how I would actually use the game, especially in a multiplayer environment. So there you go. You can always turn the resolution down, but even in the latest, most demanding titles, you can use it, and it is barely powerful enough, which is the most you can ask out of a notebook. So this is the inside of the GX660R. I'm going to show you guys some of the unique things. So first of all, here is the fan that cools everything. So the GPU unit is here. It's actually a custom PCB. Well, not custom, it's an internal video card PCB that's about this big. Okay, so you've got the two heat pipes here that are going over the GPU core. That's a 5870 mobility graphics card, about equivalent to a 5770 desktop card. And then you've also got some heatsink sort of spiky things going on here, and I'll explain what those do in a minute, as well as one more heat pipe over to the other side of this. So you can see the vents on the bottom of the graphics card actually don't go directly over the intake fan. They are directly over these heat pipes here with these spikes, and these heat pipes here with these spikes. So that makes sure that you get a little bit of air cooling directly over these, as well as cooling the fins over here and here that are connected to the heat pipes. So the quad-core CPU is under here, and it gets a similar treatment with dual heat pipes going over to an aluminum heatsink that gets all of the exhaust air blown through it. Now, one of the challenges here, and if someone can find it and I'm just totally missing something, please do let me know. But one of the challenges is, where is the third 2 gig memory module? So I can see two 2 gig memory SODIMMs here, but this notebook actually has 6 gigs of memory. So I'm a little bit confused as to where that third one is. It may actually be under a hard drive mount, and maybe we're going to go on a little Tech Tips voyage of discovery here and see if we can't locate it, since we're here anyway, right? So let's go ahead and do this to pull this drive. Aha! There's a rubber vibration dampening block here, so I'm going to pull that out, and then I can slide this drive forward off of the SATA interface and pull it out. So no, there's no RAM under there, but that brings me to one of the other unique internal features of this laptop, and that is the use of dual drives. So there are our two Scorpio black drives in RAID 0 by default, although you can configure them however you desire. And I'm going to go ahead and throw that one back in. And I think that is pretty much everything that I wanted to show you guys about the internal layout of the GX6. Oh, I think oh, no, that's not it. Okay, hold on. Well, yeah, guys, feel free. Leave a comment under the video and tell me where the third memory slot is. Thank you for watching NCIX Tech Tips, and don't forget to subscribe, and hopefully you've enjoyed this little episode about the GX660R. I think it's a pretty cool gaming notebook with some unique features, and yeah, feel free to leave a comment about the GX660R under the video in general as well. Well, rookie mistake. I realized where it was. There it is. Last 2 gig module is under the keyboard. So it is fully user upgradable if you want to put in up to 12 gigs of memory in this gaming notebook. So now, thank you for checking out NCIX Tech Tips. Don't forget to subscribe.